Madam Chair, you are live.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, January 12th, 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting. This meeting is now called to order. I would like to welcome the new Carrs Creek District Supervisor, Steve Hart. We're very happy to have you. Ms. Whitten, will you conduct roll?
Supervisor Lewis.
Present.
Supervisor Day.
Here.
Supervisor McDaniel.
Here.
Supervisor Hart.
Here.
Chair Ayers.
Here. At this time, I will ask for nominations for the 2026 chair and vice chair.
Madam Chair, I nominate David McDaniel for chairman and Jay Lewis for vice chair.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
And I vote yes. Okay. Pass this to you.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will have an invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to join us, please stand.
Heavenly Father, we pray for clarity and understanding in our deliberations so that we may make decisions promoting needs of all our residents. Fill us with your spirit and help our motives remain pure, that we lead with humility and compassion and with genuine motivation. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda tonight?
I have none.
Okay, next up, we have a presentation, resolution honoring Dan Lyons. Ms. Ayers, would you like to read that for us?
Certainly would. Whereas after retiring from the long and impactful career in Virginia public education, Dr. Daniel Dan E. Lyons was elected in November 2017 as the Carrs Creek Magisterial District Board of Supervisor for a 4-year term beginning January 1, 2018. And whereas Dr. Lyons was reelected in November 2021 for an additional 4-year term beginning January 1, 2022. And whereas Dr. Lyons served as the chair of the Board of Supervisors in 2021 and 2022 and vice chairman in 2019 and 2024. Whereas during his 8 years of service to the citizens of Rockbridge County, Dr. Lyons served on a large number of various committees to include 8 years on the Blue Ridge Resource Authority Board of Directors, 7 years on the Finance Committee, 8 years on the Building and Grounds Committee, 4 years on the Solid Waste Committee, 1 year on the Regional Fair Board, 3 years on the Community Development Committee, 2 years as the board liaison to the Chamber of Commerce, and 2 years on the board's ad hoc committee. And whereas during his 8 years of office, the county created a new Office of Economic Development and developed the county's first strategic economic development plan and branding campaign, supported the Modine expansion as well as the construction of the True by Hilton Hotel, Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and a Wawa convenience store, renovation of the Rockbridge County High School Innovation Center, supported the Greenhouse Village Housing Project, and broadband expansion across the county, supported MSA and PSA projects, as well as a regional housing study, supported local institutions such as the Virginia Horse Center and the Blue Ridge Resource Authority, and redesign of the county's Veterans Memorial. And whereas Dr. Lyons closely studied every issue brought before the board, offering his insight and making decisions that he felt to be in the best interest of the citizens of the county. Whereas as Dr. Lyons chose to retire after 8 impactful years on the Rockbridge County Board of Supervisors, with his final day of service being December 31, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Rockbridge County, Virginia, hereby shares its profound appreciation to Dr. Lyons for his 8 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Rockbridge County and for his outstanding leadership and guidance. Be it further resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Rockbridge County, county staff, and the members of the community send their well wishes to Dr. Lyons on his future endeavors, wishing him safe and enjoyable years to come. Adopted this 12th day of January, 2026.
Could I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
Yes.
Second? All right. Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Yes, sir.
And chair votes yes as well. I believe we have a frame. If we could all gather down front.
Help me if this thing's so big. I'm gonna. I don't know if I can get it.
I think it's almost goes in the middle. I want to smush in there a little bit. All right, everybody put your best face on. All right, that'll be.
All right, next up, we have annual adoption of board bylaws and electronic meeting policy. Mr. Dryden?
As part of the policy of the board, the bylaws will be adopted every year. We just adopt them in November, I believe. So that'll be done at the organizational meeting. The important part that is required by statute, though, is the electronic meeting participation policy is actually incorporated into the bylaws. So by adopting them, and there's a draft resolution has been provided to you, which makes reference to that. So the recommendation is that the board adopt the bylaws. Recommendation is that the board would adopt the bylaws as they are. That you do have an opportunity to amend them if you feel appropriate this time, and to adopt them through the draft resolution which has been provided.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, if we could adopt it through the resolution. So if the resolution is there, just make a motion to adopt the actual resolution.
So the motion is to adopt the resolution as presented. Ms. Ayers?
Yes. I make that
Is there a
motion.
second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
And chair votes yes as well. Next up, we have adoption of the annual meeting schedule. Is that you, Mr. Sewer, or?
It can be. Annually, the board adopts a meeting schedule. It is in front of you. We then post that meeting schedule so that the citizens can know when the board is meeting. Typically, and in this meeting schedule, as in the past, there's gives the staff a break, the first meeting in July and the second meeting in December. I believe there are a couple of meeting dates that are on Tuesdays because of Monday holidays or the VACO meeting in November. We also, it's not, okay, well, Brandy's correcting me. I'm not looking at it directly, but anyway, the meeting schedule's in front of you. And what else was I going to say? I think that's just about it. We do, the board can and does typically add some meetings from time to time, and they are properly noticed for the public.
Thank you. Any questions, comments on board? Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the annual meeting schedule for 2026? And a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
and chair votes yes as well. Next up, we have citizen comments. We will now welcome citizen comments. When your name is called, please step to the podium up front. Please address the board by stating your first and last name and magisterial district. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. There's a timer there for your convenience. Is there anyone signed up wishing to address the board?
Yes, sir. I apologize to anyone if I mispronounced your name. We have Russ Orison and Peter Donaher.
Hi, Russ Orson and Peter Danaher. And Peter is the superintendent of the golf course. We figured we'd come and chat with you about the golf course.
That's correct. So I had a rain event Saturday. I just want to, make everyone aware that we were, hyper focused on this event. We knew it was coming. We spent all day Friday preparing our erosion sediment control measures in preparation for the rain as they were issued through DEQ. And throughout the night, our contractor had people on site monitoring the situation. I was there all day on Saturday, monitoring, doing repairs, etc. throughout the day in the rain, as was the contractor. We're aware of the situation with the creek, and we're very sympathetic to the issues and challenges that were there. And, we are as hyper-focused on protecting Woods Creek and the surrounding county and waterways that, we are part of as everybody else. And we're all doing our best to make sure that, when issues do arise, they're addressed quickly, which is what has happened. We're also taking additional measures to go above and beyond what DEQ is required to ensure that, the systems that are in place are, the best systems that they can do.
We sent a note to Spencer. I think he passed it to you guys, addressing some of the specific concerns that were on site and how we're addressing them. I know it's not a give and take. If you have questions about them specifically, we could address those or not.
To the board, just so you know, I emailed that to you when I received it this afternoon. So if, hopefully you got it. If not, and I'd sent one to you earlier last week. I'd sent you another email.
Appreciate your comments. I'll ask that the board, if you have questions regarding that email, please direct them through Mr. Suter, and he can collect them all and get a formal response back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up.
Gretchen Suval. Sukal. Better.
Here we go. Good evening. My name is Gretchen Suko, and I live in Lexington. I'm here tonight to again raise strong concerns about what is happening to Woods Creek after the construction of the Lexington Golf Course has started. I hope you each had a chance to look at the pictures I emailed to you yesterday afternoon, which depicted the hefty sediment pollution caused by runoff from the golf course during 3 recent rain events, 2 in December and 1 this past weekend. It's important to note that none of the rain events were out of the ordinary for our area. The total rainfall in each ranged from 3/4 of an inch to a little over an inch, with most of the rain falling over the entire course of a day. As I'm sure you are aware, after the second incident, our county issued a stop work order and instructed the golf course to make a number of changes regarding the dewatering of the ponds to manage the runoff. I'm not a hydrogeologist, and I don't begin to understand all the problems that are causing the sediment pollution, but apparently whatever was done to manage the runoff was not enough, since it happened to all again this weekend. I'd like to highlight some reasons why this is important and deserves your attention. Sediment pollution causes a number of problems for aquatic life, including smothering habitats for fish eggs, insect larvae, and the like. It clogs the gills of fish, resulting in death, and can make it difficult for water bird to find food. Also, as I'm sure you know, Woods Creek flows into the Maury, where we get our own drinking water. I would think incidents like this create more work and wear and tear for water treatment plants like ours. Adding more concern is the fact that the superintendent of the golf course, and I appreciate that he's here tonight and understands the seriousness, told those who were concerned about the environmental impacts of the massive amounts of herbicide being sprayed on the grass to kill it, not to worry that these chemicals would adhere to the soil quickly. Of course, we doubted this, and about a week after the first application, a slew of dead crawfish were found in the creek, so we think that might be herbicide related. But in the end, it doesn't really matter because, as you can see, a lot of the sediment ended up in the creek anyway. Lastly, this matters because for over 2 decades, probably hundreds of volunteers, citizen volunteers, have gone in and worked toward better water quality in Woods Creek. These volunteers came from Boxerwood and included students, Rockbridge Conservation, involved in monitoring the water and reporting to the Department of Environmental Quality the results, and most recently, Friends of Woods Creek that have worked to pull out invasives and put in natives for a stronger riparian buffer. Allowing a special interest group to do this amount of damage to Woods Creek is really disrespectful to those hundreds of volunteers that have worked for the last 2 decades. So there's some other folks that are going to come speak after me. I just urge you, when you come, when a special exception permit comes before you in the future, if you will please value the natural resources as much as you value what that special interest group is coming for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deborah Woodcock.
I'm Deborah Woodcock. I live in the Buffalo District and I'm a golf course neighbor. You have the photographs that are in front of you show how on 3 separate occasions, Woods Creek ran totally muddy below the golf course. It's very dismaying to see this happen over and over again. We don't know what the problem is at the golf course. Is it the silt fences? Is it the unstable stream banks? Is it the way they've cut down all the riparian vegetation? Is it all the bare soil? Is it the excavation? Is it the dewatering of the ponds? Is it some problem with one of the gates that's at the dam? We don't know. We're not on the site. We have no way of knowing. What we do know is that in early September, the golf course project received their land disturbance permit. This is a general permit issued by DEQ. And at that time, they began dewatering the ponds. And they were dewatering the ponds, to the best of our understanding, over a period of several months, 2 to 3 months at least. And they were not doing the required turbidity testing that was a condition, that was a requirement of the general permit. And that has been true up until this weekend, as far as I know. So this is a serious matter for the county because the county has oversight over stormwater in conjunction with DEQ. So the county has to do much better to protect Woods Creek. And we are expecting them to do that. There's another serious problem with the golf course and the county, which is that one of the conditions of the special exception zoning permit that was issued was that the golf course was required to do testing of wells on the golf course and on private properties near the golf course. There was one round of testing that was done. The second round of testing, wells and surface water, but I'm going to speak here specifically about the wells. The second round of testing was also done, and I know this because I'm one of the people on the wells. In November, they came and tested the water in my wells. We have not received the results of that testing. It is required to be public information. That was also part of the conditions. We have not received that. There is no reason whatsoever that that information shouldn't be released. And we urge the county to follow up on this as soon as possible because it puts the whole project in legal jeopardy if they're not following the conditions. So I hope you will give this your immediate attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara Walsh.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Walsh and I live in the city of Lexington. My property is downstream of the Lexington W&L Golf and Country Club and has been impacted by 3 significant erosion and sediment incidents in the past 3 weeks. As a hydrogeologist, I would like to make 3 points. First, these incidents were not caused by unusually heavy or intense rains. In fact, the rainfalls on December 19th, December 25th, and January 10th have been less than half of NOAA's expected 1-year 24-hour storm, and not even a third of a typical 2-year 24-hour design storm. Second, this is not just a sediment problem, but a chemical contamination issue as well. The heavy application of herbicides, including glyphosate and fusilade containing PFAS forever chemical compounds, is reflected in test results showing metals and PFAS in water on the site and downstream. Third, high turbidity observed in the creek is clearly originating from the construction site. Citizen Water monitors spot checks of turbidity in Woods Creek downstream of the project during the first and third incidents measured greater than 240 NTUs, which far exceeded Woods Creek upstream of the project and Sarah's Run, which had measurements between 17 and 100 NTUs. The limit for dewatering is 150 NTUs. For a project of this magnitude on a site of over 100 acres, stormwater erosion and sediment control must be addressed through site-specific engineering systems, not simply residential scale best management practices such as silt fences. Well-designed controls follow a layered approach that prioritizes erosion prevention first, then flow control, and finally sediment capture. Runoff must be actively managed using diversion beams, line swales, check dams, level spreaders, and energy dissipation features with designs sized for the appropriate storm events. Considering that Woods Creek is already designated as an impaired stream by the state, and the underlying karst and geology and aquifer is a factor, the plan should incorporate geosynthetics. It is important to note that even adequately designed pollution controls rely on active on-site management. The developer cannot simply continue to repair the existing controls that have failed repeatedly. After these 3 strikes, work must be halted and put effective temporary stabilization in place. No work should continue until the developer has created an engineering plan with effective controls and monitoring in place. I would also like to add that a lack of communication and coordination has contributed to this failure. Public officials, staff, project management, neighbors, and concerned members of the public would all benefit from consistent, regular communications and sharing of documents, including after-hours contacts for urgent situations. In summary, it is clear that whatever action may have been taken by the project in the first 2 pollution events and the work stoppage was ineffective. It was not the amount of rain that was a problem. It was inadequate erosion and stormwater controls for such a massive scale project. As Gretchen mentioned, hundreds of citizen volunteers and property owners along the creek have been working tirelessly for years to improve water quality and the ecology of Woods Creek, especially since DEQ's designation of the creek as impaired. It is unacceptable and unconscionable that a for-profit developer should be allowed to wipe out all the years of community efforts to restore the health of the Woods Creek watershed. Thank you.
Joe DiNardo.
Evening. I'm Joe DiNardo. I live up in Vesuvius. I believe it's the South River District. In any event, I'm here tonight basically just to echo the 3 different comments you've heard about what's going on at Woods Creek. And again, to emphasize a little bit more of the seriousness of projects. This is a little bit more than just a little bit of dirt or mud going into a stream. Okay, this is 130 acres that have received, I don't know how many gallons of toxic compounds that are very problematic, that are already in our environment, that are already creating problems, and it's adding to these problems. All of this material that's going into the creek and going into the Moray River, just like you understand that the DEQ considers the Moray, where we take our water sources, impaired for both PCB's dioxin levels and for mercury levels. And some of the work that we have done here ourselves with either Virginia Tech, with Rockbridge Conservation, or other research institutions in our area are beginning to find lots of different levels of PFASs in the water in the Moray as well. So we have high levels of contamination. We're taking this water, we are taking it, we are not processing it appropriately. We're sending it back out. We can find PFASs in our water, in people who live in the city, as well as in various wells and so forth. So what I would really ask this committee to really consider is not so much all the wrongdoings that were done on this particular project, things that were said, controls that were put in place to minimize problems that have not been followed, but maybe we can just stop and take a look at all the issues that we have in our area. We have a significant chemical pollution problem. Everything from things at Jordan Point with PFASs to mercury to PCBs going all the way through all of Central Virginia and we are not excluded. So what I would ask respectfully of this group is that perhaps we can maybe all work a little bit closer together in trying to address some of these issues that deal seriously with physical human health. And again, by the way, I'd just like to remind this panel that if you look at the cancer statistics from the NIH for Lexington City, we are 93 more cases of cancer per 100,000 than the rest of the United States. There is indeed an impact to this, our behaviors, and we are definitely paying for them, not just in this county, but across our country. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Contos.
Good evening, Tom Contos from City of Lexington. I'm not here to comment about the stream per se, but just to follow on to some of the comments about golf. I think that the county has obviously a very competent, experienced staff, and as you guys have done a very thorough job in terms of preparing the ground, the zoning ground for this project. The city we're much smaller and we don't have that staff. And I think 1/3 of this project is really in the city. And as you probably know or should know, the city zoning currently does not allow golf anywhere in the city. It's non-conforming. The current use or the previous use was non-conforming. And while you can resume that use within 24 months at least, you never want to be non-conforming. I don't know that I would want to go to a lender, borrow money, or to have investors unless I had a project that was a use that was conforming. And there's moreover, a practical issue is that all of the structures that have been removed, once they've been removed, that support golf, and that could be as simple as a sign on a post that says carts this way, or a little storage shed or something. You cannot bring back any of those non-conforming structures. So it's really important, I think, as a golf course to be able to have that flexibility and not the limitations of being non-conforming. So I just wish that the city and the county would get together and align their zoning so that you're both permitting the same thing. I represented UVA and the UVA athletics on the redesign of the Birdwood golf course. So I've done a lot of experience with golf courses and saw the process that we had there. I think the people who worked at UVA would be happy to share their experience with you and with the team. Everybody wants this project to go ahead and be a success. It has to be, but I do feel that, in fact, I wrote to Mr. Harwood in May of 2024, raising this very question. Why don't we align the zoning for the city? The city needs to endorse the project and to give it the same rights and ability to develop as the county has given it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that is all who has signed up.
Is there anyone online wishing to address the board?
No one has a hand raised.
Is there anyone in attendance didn't have the opportunity to sign up wishing to address the board? Okay, appreciate all the comments. Next up, we have approval of the December 15th, 2025 minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those, or any questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll say.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Abstain.
Mr. Hart?
Abstain.
And chair votes yes as well. Next up, we have consideration of school appropriation resolution. Mr. Harrison?
Yes, before the board is a resolution requesting an appropriation of $727,715 for Fund 70 and $80,000 for Fund 50. Those are as follows: $344,372 for interest payments on the 2023 bond, $250,392 for CSG Community School Grant, $1,412 for the CTE STEM Grant, $4,783 for the High Demand CTE Equipment Grant, $6,190 for CTE equipment, $3,759 for the CTE certification test, $872 for the CTE WRS grant, $115,935 for the CEIS Title 6B grant, and 80,000 for 2 electrical hookups for Fund 70. The 80,000 will come from the school escrow fund, as also a portion of the interest payments for the 223 bond will come from the escrow. 274,000 of that is interest that from the interest earned on the bond that we had to withdraw to prevent arbitrage.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Is there any questions, comments, concerns?
I had a couple questions, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harrison, there's 344,000 in interest payments. Is there a principal payment made as well, or is that interest and principal?
No, that's just the first principal payment will be next FY27.
Okay, and stupid new guy question.
No, please.
Well, yeah, there are. I was a teacher. You've got things in there for materials, travel, big categories like that. If I wanted more information on that, where would I go to look for that?
For the school grants?
Yes, sir. Is there-
Yes, the school would be would have more details, information on,
okay,
on those grants. Or what those grants are being spent on.
That is all the questions I had there.
Is there a motion to adopt a resolution?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
And chair votes yes as well. Next up, we have the county financial report and appropriation resolution. Mr. Harrison?
Yes, before you is a resolution for the payment of bills and additional appropriations. Total bills this period is $2,468,049.65. Additional appropriations total $725,961. For the additional appropriations, we have $29,723 for fire and rescue. This includes medical director insurance, $6,734, EMS supplies from the revenue recovery funds of $4,954. The fire program fund, as you know, that's a state funding, $10,035. An emergency response system, it's actually an app of $8,000. We have $8,911 for insurance reimbursement for damage at Parks and Rec. $75,519 for the Stillwater IRF grant. That's all state funds. $104,002 for revenue sharing. That includes $28,626 more than what we budgeted for the City of Lexington annexation agreement. The total annexation agreement for the current fiscal year based on FY25 audit is $2,628,000. And we also have $75,376 for the town of Goshen. That's the emissions tax revenue sharing agreement that we had entered into last year. And lastly, we have $466,089 for transfers, $344,372 for school debt, and $80,000 for school fund 70. Just as a reminder, that's not a doubling up of what you just approved for the school. That's money the school has to appropriate it in addition to the county transferring it to them. And $41,717 for the capital construction fund, which includes $28,717 for the courthouse flood event, $3,000 for the river boat landing. That was some historical work we've done to hopefully maybe build a future new boat launch in the future. And $10,000 for the community broadband access grant, which we will eventually be reimbursed for. That was part of the federal grant that BARC received. Part of that, as you recall, was for us to have a community center And we decided to build that out at or make some conversions out at the Lake Robertson for that purpose. So that 10,000 at some point will be reimbursed to us. For the we're still working on December, but we do have November revenue information. As of 11/30th, general fund revenues total $26,211,730. Expenditures total $28,698,753. So the year-to-date difference of $2,487,023. 42% of the fiscal year has passed. Sales tax is at $2,027,218, or 43% of the estimated budget. Mills tax still slightly down, $1,301,817, or 39% of the estimated tax. Lodging tax is at $848,395, or 46% of the estimated budget. Emissions tax is coming in at $333,185, or 95% of the estimated budget, thanks in large part to the successful train and Goshen. And the cigarette taxes is at $86,250, or 38% of the estimated budget. The audit is complete. We have some management reports we have to do on the audit, but I'll be presenting to you at your next meeting. It's a clean audit, but based on the audited unassigned balance, I'll provide that in my finance report to you. Our total unassigned fund balance is sitting at 35.49%, or 13.5 million in excess of our 20% reserve requirement. You have any questions?
Push up to the board for questions.
I read through the balance sheet and I was kind of surprised to see 45 million in uncollected local taxes and 31 million in uncollected Commonwealth reimbursables. Page 2 of the balance sheet.
Okay.
We've collected some recently of the more recent unpaid taxes and Commonwealth things, but stuff going back 25 years is just sitting there. Do we ever write those off? Or what's the impact of the fact that somebody owes us $76 million?
The part of the uncollected tax is taxes that are due June 5th. So that's the current year. So that's part of it. But yes, we keep we don't write those off. Those continue to earn interest. Ms. Whitesell, the county treasurer, could better speak to that, but we also have quite a hefty amount of revenue that comes in from late fees on taxes as well. But those do not, at some point things go to tax sale, but I would have to defer to Ms. Whitesell on those type of issues.
What about the 31 million from the state?
That would be, if I had to right off the bat, would be, I'm checking my other report real quick. Just want to double check. Yes, I believe most of that would be money still owed to us, and I'll double check with Ms. Whitesell, but most of that will be the auto tax refund due to us from the state. They on a, not at the 30 million. But I'll double check with Ms. Weitzel on that. I would hazard to get most of that will be school funds, but I'll double check and get back with you on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sure.
Mr. Harrison, just clarification, most of that is a timing issue. It will come in June. Is that correct?
Yes, I can definitely, on the first part of the question asked by Mr. Hart, I can say is our property taxes, but on the state revenue, I'll have to get back with them on all of you on that.
Well, I understand for the current year, but if you look back at the years, I mean, local taxes, 2018, it's $2.7 million. And this year we collected 59 of those dollars. And you go back into the early 2000s and there's several years at $2 million. And for the state, it seems to run about $2 million and change a year, going back as far as 2006, which is $3.2 million. I mean, there's a year of our budget sitting there right there that somebody owes us.
We can work with Ms. Weitzel on, as when things go to tax sale and those type
Okay.
of issues, that's her bailiwick, and but I can relay that information to her.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to adopt the county financial report resolution appropriation resolution?
There it is.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right. Mr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, if I may, just real quick, I'd just like to thank the board for continuing to support Goshen. There's a lot going on out there. There's two big numbers in there for the town. That's wonderful. Continue refurbish Stillwater and then give the town revenue from all the work they put in for the 611 experience. And by the way, the fire department also did concessions and made significant fundraising achievements there as well. So it's just really good for the community. So I just wanted to note that. Thank you.
Thank you for passing that along. Next up, we have the annual report from the Natural Bridge Speedway. Sladen,
Thank you.
good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see everyone, I should say. Per condition number 1 of the special exception permit, the Natural Bridge Speedway is required to present an annual report to the Board of Supervisors. Per the condition, the annual report includes a summary of conditions and how they were met, summary of events held the previous year, and a preliminary schedule of the next year's events. I am happy to report that Office of Community Development did not issue any zoning violation letters nor summonses during the 2025 racing season. At this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to Ms. Amanda Bradley, the sole owner of Amanda Enterprises Speedway LLC, the owner of the Speedway, to review some highlights of the 2025 report. We're here to answer any questions the board may have.
Good evening. I'm here to report, just like Mr. Sladen said, that we had no violations for 2025. During our race season, all interior roads were watered each night that we raced. These roads are maintained and covered with gravel. A diligent effort was made weekly to make sure the dust was under control. Nightly trash was bagged and disposed after each night, and trash was also picked up along Drawell Road each night. We gave away 72 bikes and other numerous toys to kids in need during the year. We raised money for a racing fan who lost his grandma, and that was his provider. He got placed into a home. We were able to pay his legal fees, filled his new room with furniture, got him new bedding, new clothes, and he has free admission to the track in 2026 along with food access. In that home, we also provided all 6 men in there with him with Christmas. We provided 2 individuals with Christmas who are in nursing homes. And then we raised money for a family whose child was diagnosed with a brain tumor as well. Any questions for you guys?
one comment for you. I know that you don't race on fair weekend. Been on the fair board for a long time. We would have no objection to you racing. And I know that's going to require a change in special exception permit and all of that. But if you did go through with that, the fair board would not object.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate that. Pete.
I do.
I want to thank you for all your
Could,
hard work.
could I add something as well? Chris and I have worked with the Speedway for a number of years, and last year was a real pleasure. Didn't have to go down there. I don't know if I received any complaints, but I received numerous compliments on changes that have been made, keeping the dust down, moving Winter Circle off the track so you get another race going in advance and folks were getting home a whole lot earlier and races were getting finished up earlier. So Ms. Bradley, I do appreciate that.
I will just echo those comments as being the representative in that area. I don't remember any issues or complaints, which is uncommon given historical, but I really appreciate your efforts and what you've done there and how the racetrack has evolved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And as a sidebar, thank you for all you're doing for the community.
Thank
Those
you.
are wonderful achievements.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, guys.
Hope you have a very successful 2026 season.
Thank
Next up, we have consideration of provisional adoption of the FY 2027 to 2031 capital improvements plan. Mr. Harrison?
Yes. I was still researching that previous questions. I shouldn't do that in the middle of a meeting. I apologize, but I think I have an answer. So no, this is just a provisional combined CIP. As you know, what was posted online also includes the school division's CIP requests. No changes have been made to the December 15th presentation to the CIP. Staff, we're still working on fleshing out a more detailed, prioritized court CIP. It's just this coordinating with finance and administration and the sheriff and maintenance. It's going to take a little bit more time to get that together. But otherwise, there's been no changes. Again, this is to provide the provisional adoption to give guidance to staff and the finance committee on prioritizing things to include in the FY 27 budget. Final adoption of the CIP won't occur until the adoption of the regular budget.
Is there any questions or comments for Mr. Harrison?
Yes, sure. I've got a few things.
Go right here.
Mr. Harrison, I think there's some really good things in here. You start off the top, our sheriff's vehicles, our school buses, the compactors at the collection station, how those are phased out year by year by year. So they're kind of flatlined. So it's really consistent and it's easy to prepare. I think under the compactors, those might be shuffled just slightly so that we're doing the exact same thing every single year. And I think that makes it easier to plan. I think through all the documents you have, I have one really big concern, and that's on the annual cost of these facilities. There's a lot of things that are to be determined, or the number down there doesn't make sense. Like the voting machines, it's $280,000 to buy them, but the annual cost says $280,000. Well, that's for only 1 year. There are vehicles that you want to purchase. The annual impact on cost is listed as $200,000 a year, but that doesn't make sense because the new vehicle really shouldn't cost more than the old vehicle if it's a replacement vehicle. And then particularly on buildings, particularly the recreation center, there's no O&M cost, no annual cost on that building. A building of that size, and I just thumbnailed it real quick, is $300,000 a year. It's not in our budget. And anytime we're proposing a new building, that new building is going to come with a new annual cost, and it's going to come with new future cost, roof replacements, HVAC replacements, and those types of things, which really ought to be brought back to net present value to understand what the actual cost of the building is. Because without us looking at the long-term cost of the building, we really don't know what it costs. Because you ask an engineer, he's going to tell you cheapest money he ever spends buying the building. To go along with that, I read the study on the courthouse. It's a really good study. I wrote that same study 25 years ago for a whole bunch of buildings. They've identified $2 million for immediate need, $4 million in 5 years, and $3 million in 10 years. And I didn't see that anywhere in our CIP. I have one other thing that I think is really important for how we look at this. We look out, seem to be for our project 7 years, but our debt runs out between 20 and 30 years. I think those two numbers have to be aligned. We have to be looking at the projects and the debt at the same time. Because if we don't do that, there's a project sitting out there at year 10 that we're not looking at right now. And we're going to make decisions right now, which tie up our ability to deal with something that we haven't looked at. And to go with that, as I read through this, everything, and forgive me if it's somewhere else and I hadn't missed it, but this looks like to me it's just a list of the things we want to do next. It's not prioritized with priorities against requirements. Because we have a limited amount of money. If we look at the chart that Davenport gave us for the next few things, and we lay some of these things on there, we've maxed out our current level of debt service for the next 7 years. We're going to drop the recreation center on top of that, the $25 million that the school wants on top of that, another school building on top of that, and $7,000 to replace an air conditioner on top of the time where we've already maxed out our debt service. And I think that comes from not considering both at the same time everything we need to do and what's our capacity to do it and what are the priorities. Because a good plan is going to allocate resources against priorities. And if we've done that somewhere else, that's great. But I'd like to see that because I don't see that in what it is we've done here.
Well, I know on the social services building, the 3 jurisdictions, even though that building is owned by Lexington, with us and Buena Vista in agreement with a contract agreement with them, part of that agreement calls for creating a capital reserve fund specific to that building to so that we can budget appropriately and have its own capital fund to fund different replacement needs such as roofs and HVAC systems in the future without going back to the capital funds. I know staff has talked about recommending the same once we have firm costs together with the for the proposed recreation center. One of the things asked of the architects and engineers was a similar capital replacement plan so that we can know what those future costs are on those buildings and on that particular building proposed so that we can budget appropriately and building up its own capital reserve fund. With that said, no, those things were not done for the courthouse. Yeah, we are playing catch up on the courthouse itself. But for future buildings, we have I know we've done that with social services building, and that's what's being recommended for the proposed recreation center. It doesn't address past buildings but at least going forward, that has been proposed to do that.
I will add to that, with the school debt, we've worked diligently over the last 6 years, I know, to work with them as far as planning events that the school needs to work within the debt schedule the school has. So as debt's coming off, it can be replaced with new debt. The HVAC systems are on a 20-year replacement cycle. So again, that's debt that comes off versus debt's going on. So there is some planning. I understand, Mr. Hart, your concerns, and we will certainly work towards addressing those as we work through the upcoming budget cycle. Is there any other questions, concerns, comments about CIP? All right, is there a motion to provisionally adopt the FY 27 through 31 CIP?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Mr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Day.
Yes.
Ms. Ayers.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
No.
And chair votes yes. All right. Consideration of electoral board request to combine certain precincts and move certain polling places. Mr. Suter?
Okay, I'm gonna try to go as quickly as I can on this, but there's a bit to share. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Same thing I shared at the December 9 meeting. Let's see. And I'll move down through it as you like for me to, but let me just go ahead and get into it. At the board's December meeting, you received a request from the electoral board to consider consolidation of certain precincts and relocation of certain polling places. And there were two main objectives there. One of them was the increased voter accessibility, particularly ADA compliance. And also the second one was to reduce the cost of elections. And that cost included both the ops cost for each election and also the long-term cost associated with poll books and equipment. All the way back in 2022, the board approved a redistricting plan, and I won't go into all the details on that, but I will say that a recent development has been that the electoral board has approached the school division. The school division agreed to allow usage of schools as polling places by agreeing to close schools on days of election. And that goes a long way to reducing ADA compliance issues. Additionally, combining precincts would reduce the amount of resources. Again, as I've discussed, poll workers, the mailings, all the different things that are required for that. Let's see. You've got a couple of options that you could use. I'll jump into the explanation of the actual requested changes. The first one is to combine the airport and Ben Salem districts and use the Maury River Middle School as the polling location. Second one in Carrs Creek District is to move VOTEC precinct polling location from Life Chapel Church to the Rockbridge County High School. All that's not a precinct change. That is just moving the polling place to the high school. Third would in the Natural Bridge District to combine the Natural Bridge Station and Falling Springs precincts to use the Natural Bridge Elementary School as the polling location. And in the South River District, move the Mountain View polling location from Nariah Baptist Church to Mountain View Elementary School. Again, that's another one that assists with ADA compliance. Another one that assists with ADA compliance is to combine the Fairfield and Vesuvius precincts and use Fairfield Elementary School as the polling location. And finally, in Walker's Creek, to combine Rockbridge Bass and the Rockbridge precincts and use Fairfield Volunteer Rescue Squad as the polling location. And again, as this is a proposal request for consideration by the electoral board, who is with us tonight in the back. Thank you very much. And as Sheila is as well, our registrar. This is a decision by the Board of Supervisors, though. There are different options that you could choose moving forward. So at this point, the board asked us to bring that back. There is a draft ordinance with those proposed changes written down. We had to do, for lack of a better term, a meets and bounds description of all the changes. So you've got a track version and a final draft version in your package. It's just shows the textual changes required to essentially eliminate the boundaries between the proposed combinations or melding of those districts. So you've got several options at this point. If you want us to move forward with no changes to what you see in front of you, you could direct us to advertise in accordance with code, including a 45-day public comment period with a public hearing during that period. And so just to clarify that, notice would go in the paper on Wednesday, January 21st. The 30-day comment period would start February 9th and end on March 11th. And the board could then hold a public hearing on March 9th with a potential vote on March 23rd and an effective date of April 10th, if the board determined to make a change. Your second option would be to direct staff to amend the ordinance in front of you with any changes that you might want to discuss, and then move forward with partial changes to what you see. And again, that would just be discussing and communicating any changes that you would like to see to what you have in front of you to staff for us to make the changes. And then the process would be exactly the same as I just described. And obviously the final option is always, of course, status quo, make no change at all, at which point you'd need to do nothing. So that's the summary. I think everybody's probably had a chance to review the map and the changes at this point, or the proposed changes. And I'm happy to take any questions that you might have, unless Mr. Dryden has any additional comments.
Just to let you know on the timing of this, we've built in a cushion of 70 days from the effective date to the election, which would take place on June 16th, which would be the primary elections. We're not required to put that in there, but that does give some leeway. If you decide to change the ordinance based on public comments, we do have to extend the 30-day period by 15 more days. And so we have plenty of time to do that if necessary.
And also, I guess I'm kind of remiss to see if there's any comment by any members of the electoral board or the registrar. Doesn't appear to be. So happy to answer any questions that you might have and assist with discussion.
Is there any questions, comments, concerns, feedback?
I have some. I apologize for not being able to be at the last meeting as it was moved due to weather. I had another regularly scheduled meeting conflict, so I apologize coming a little late to the game. But I really appreciate the genesis of this plan and the electoral board's effort and discussions with the schools. I've advocated for that since I was on the school board years ago, and calendars just never could make it happen. So I'm really glad to hear that's a possibility. And I think that goes a long way towards logically helping our voting precincts be in good places. And then also meet one of the stated goals of the increased voter accessibility, in other words, ADA compliance and that. So all of those are great things. Now, a couple of concerns. Combining the Rockbridge Baths and Rockbridge precincts or challenging to me in that the voting places are a little farther apart than many in the change, and both of them are already ADA compliant, so there's no real issue there. One of them is, or the proposed change is already outside the actual boundaries of the district. So that's always been a challenge, although I understand why it's there, as there's limited numbers of places to have a precinct. And then both of the locations that we have currently, the Rockbridge Baths Volunteer Fire Department and the Fairfield Rescue Squad do have access to communications to readily
transfer the information from the precincts to the registrar's office. So I think that was another challenge that had been thought of for some of the other ones. So all in all, I certainly respect and want to work towards reducing the cost of elections. As I've pontificated before, it's sort of another unfunded mandate. We don't get to decide when we have elections and how many and what we have to do. So anything we can do to minimize that expense to us, and it's not a whole lot of funding from the state, you know, the machines are our responsibility, et cetera, et cetera. So I certainly respect that. So that's the piece that combining these precincts or not combining these precincts would leave out. And I never mean to suggest that any amount of money is small, but of all the challenges that we have here in combining the precincts, I'm not sure that that it's necessarily worth that for those two precincts. So respectfully, that's, you know, my thoughts on the Walker's Creek district. I will not delve into the other ones for fear of being reprimanded. But again, I really appreciate all the work, but I just find that to be a big challenge to combine those two.
Is your primary concern, as I heard, one of it, which is it's outside of the district?
That's one.
Is there a suitable location within the district that would serve the purpose of combining?
Unfortunately, not that I'm aware of. And my, you know, I looked at this in stewing on it. I've had a while to think about it. And, you know, Rockbridge Baths, the volunteer fire department, is in the district, but it presents a similar challenge in geography and voters distances voters would go to be able to vote in person, which while we have numerous other options these days and for months ahead of election day, which also costs a bunch of money, I think there's many citizens who still value the voting on the day of, and I would like to make sure that they have every opportunity to do so. And I just feel like combining them could change that. So no, to answer your question, I don't really have another location. I know that there's been conversation, and Mr. Days tried to help me with some thoughts, but we haven't been successful in achieving that at this point. So potentially in the future, maybe, but right now, I don't believe so. I'm sorry.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments, questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing about how we set the elections up is how to make it easy for people to vote. And I can look at Supervisor Lewis's district, and if you move a polling place from the Rockbridge Bass Fire Station to the Fairfield Fire Station, that's a really good haul. You know, moving from Life Chapel to the high school across the street's not a big deal. You move a polling place 2-3 miles, that's probably not going to have a major impact on voter turnout. But if we move it, I mean, how many road miles is that? That's a 30-minute drive from the fire station to the Fairfield Rescue Squad. And I think that's going to not have the impact on voter turnout that we want it to have. I think it's going to do the exact opposite. And I think one thing that would really help my analysis on this is just a question of that is like, how many road miles did we move the voting precinct? You know, if it's 3 or 4 miles, that's not a big deal, probably, but it has to be road miles because this is Rockbridge County. And if it's a lot longer than that, I think that's probably a negative impact on the voters. I did have one question about using the schools. Schools usually set their calendar in the fall or in the summer, and it's going to stand for the year. What happens, as might happen this year, if we get a special election called in the legislative session that all of a sudden we now have to have another vote in March? how does the school react to that if it gets dropped in them in the middle of the year? And don't know the answer to that. Those were my two issues.
I'll defer to members of the electoral board, but I did talk with Superintendent or Dr. Thompson, and he assured me that they would work with whatever's required to do that. So my assumption would be that means that if a special one is required, then they would close school for that day.
Treat it like a snow day.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? Comments?
I would just say the first thing we're doing here is we're setting up the date for a public hearing on this. We would be just setting up a date for a public hearing, and we could make these changes and get more information between now and then, correct?
Yes, what you'd be doing is you would be the ordinance that you see in front of you, or the language you see in front of you, would be on file in our office here, my office. And it would be advertised, and the language would be advertised. And then, but you're not making a decision until after a 30-day comment period, which would include a public hearing on all these, any and all of these changes. And then you can't make a decision. Well, you can make a decision soon after that, but the decision wouldn't be effective until like 15 days after, I believe.
30 days after the close of the public comment period. So what we're asking you to do is to set basically to set the public comment period, and that would then trigger when we have to make notices and what has to go forward. So if the dates that Mr. Suter provides you seem acceptable, then we would then notice the public. We're required by law to notice that of the public comment period. And so we would publish notice of that within by next week, I believe the plan would be. But as I said, I actually said we had 70 days. We do have 70 days cushion before the election, but however, the election commission is actually required to provide notice to registered mail to the voters who are affected by the change in the polling place 30 days prior to the election. So we really have a 40-day cushion, which is still a large cushion, but if we need to extend it to make modifications, we are able to do so.
Ms. Ayers makes a good point. My only concern would be is I don't, it's been published twice, as we've had this on the agenda twice. I'm not sure what, and I always want to hear public comments. I certainly don't disappear that's that, but I'm just afraid that the language could be misleading if people read this and go, oh, that's what they're doing. It's been out there for 2 months, a month and a half now.
It's actually not really out there until we actually make the notification, which would be for the comment period. We're required.
It's in the agenda. I mean,
Yeah,
it's been published twice.
Yeah, the actual official notice would be when we're given permission, but it is the mechanism the statute envisions for publishing this. Besides that is the public hearing, and we're required by law to have one public hearing during the comment period, but you can have as many public hearings as you want to.
But one of the options would be to make changes now. That's all. That's what I'm getting at. But I certainly understand public comment, and I certainly want to hear that. But
and the way I see this is that I think everybody would be sensitive to the issues in other people's, right? So for me, I wouldn't see that as a problem going forward, advertising what we have and making those choices, knowing that we have full support of each other. We support each other making the decisions within those districts, is what I'm saying.
I did. I would not want to see the Walker's Creek Voters District change this way. If I were a voter, and I don't know the roads, but that lived up there in the left, I don't think it's a good decision for voters. All the other ones seem to me to make sense. Is it possible we could change all the others, but
not those two?
Certainly at the meeting, we can
Okay.
certainly make all of those changes. I guess what I was saying is that if we advertise, we might find other issues, Steve, to your point.
Mhm.
There might be other places that we're feeling, and then the public might come in and tell us that there are some other issues, and we can make those changes. And I think each one of us would be sensitive to the others' districts.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Day. I was gonna ask if you weren't, just to make sure.
Can I ask a question? Why are we moving out of the Rockbridge Pass firehouse?
Could we phrase that in a different way, which is there an issue with continuing to use that facility? When they're doing some upgrades and all, I didn't know if that maybe had something to do with anything.
And again, I'm not purporting to say why. I'm just saying this is why what the electoral board approached us with. You need to come forward to the.
If you can, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I inquiring minds, if there's something deeper that I'm missing,
No,
wanna
I
make
don't.
sure.
No, my name is John Brandt. I was part of the electoral board up until December 31st. And now the current electoral board has asked me to come just to help answer
So they're making
questions.
you be
Yeah,
the bad guy.
No. I certainly have spent a lot of time in these proposals. So let me address that. There wasn't anything necessarily wrong with the Rockbridge Bass Fire location. That wasn't an issue at all. The issue was to try to reduce cost. And all the magisterial districts within the county in this proposal that we have 2 or 3 precincts, voting precincts. Okay. What we're talking about is leaving 4 voting precincts within Walker's Creek if we didn't consolidate the 2. Just quickly to answer Steve, your request about the voting, the travel miles, it's 8 miles to go from the Rockbridge Bass Fire Station to the Fairfield Rescue Squad building. So it's 8 miles. I just did it if Google Maps is correct, it's 8 miles. And now, I'm not saying it takes 8 minutes. It says it takes, right now it says 16 minutes.
May I interject as well?
Sure.
To this, and again, this is coming from a position of experience because I've done 3 redistrictings over 25 years now. And I fully understand your point. But just looking on the map here, and what I'm getting at is it's not necessarily always the location of the polling place, because if the polling place is here, somebody here might say, oh, well, it's quicker for me to go to Fairfield now. Now it's going to be farther for somebody up here, but it's not always equal. You cannot find, in a perfect world, we would find the geographic center of each precinct and put the polling place there, but we don't have the facilities in those. So we're a little bit limited. So
and
there's keep that in mind.
Yeah, and one other point, there may be another building that actually is within the Walker's Creek precinct that we have not pursued. What we recommended is what we thought was the best choice. And we're all about trying to make sure that the voters have a good experience in voting. That's kind of our purpose. So we weren't trying to make that a problem. But there is a school, Rivermont School, that is within just a couple of miles. It's within the precinct that would lessen that drive from the Rockbridge Bass area. That could be pursued if we wanted to look at it. And I don't know, Jay, if you know anything about that particular facility, but it's closer and it's in the precinct, and we just have not pursued that. But that's something that could be pursued as well.
It could be, but I'm not sure the present situation allows for it to be available for us.
Yeah,
And if it was the previous precinct for polling place for Rockbridge precinct, that when it was a school,
and
we still had the two. So
when we approached this from the very beginning, it was because we had an emergency situation in Uriah Baptist, where we were concerned that for the next election coming up, that they were not going to allow us to use that facility. So that prompted us to go to the school board, which up to this time, we had been told that we could not use the schools because of security issues. So we went to the school board for that specific purpose. And when we found out that the school board was very willing to be able to use it, that really made it, that just made a pathway pretty good for us to hit this accessibility issue, as well as try to reduce costs for the whole county. You had mentioned, I think, in your review of the budget, Mr. Hart, that the voting machines is $280,000. Well, it'll be about $60,000 less than that if we can reduce the number of precincts from 17 to 13. So anyhow, that's just some things to consider. So anyhow, any other questions or
I don't have
thoughts?
any further. Thank you very much, sir. I do appreciate, as I said at the beginning, all y'all's work. It's very good.
Thank you.
Have that one concern. Thank you.
Okay, so I believe, again, we come back to, we have three options. We can direct staff to move forward with the draft ordinance as presented, go through the public comment period, discuss any changes that need to be done, and then have the vote after the public comment period for whatever, whether we want to keep it as is or changes that need to be made. We can also, that's first process, first option. Second option is we can discuss changes right now and then send it through a public comment period. And again, potentially make changes and vote, or we can do nothing and just leave it as is. So which of the three do you want to move forward with?
Well, unless we have, for me, unless we have options right now, I would like one. I think that's a direct path, and then we can do some research next couple weeks and come up with some ideas, get the input, hear it, and then make the changes that are appropriate.
All right, so Ms. Ayers is leaning towards option number one. Mr. Day, how do you feel? Or you'd like for me to come back to you? I can go to Mr. Lewis.
I would certainly like to hear from public comment from the citizens that are in these districts, their feelings on these changes. I think that's very important.
Mr. Lewis?
Agree.
I don't intend to change my mind, but I agree we need public comment.
Option one allows us to hear public comment and board comment at the same time and then make a decision one time. And that's probably the most efficient way to do this. So, yeah.
Okay, so is there a motion to move forward with option number one, to direct staff to move forward with how it's presented at this present time, and direct staff to advertise in accordance with the code, including a 45-day public comment period and a public hearing during that period?
Yes.
All right. And is there a second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
And chair votes yes as well. All right, next up, we have some appointments. At this time, and per our bylaws, I'll appoint various members of the Board of Supervisors to various boards and committees for the calendar year 2026. Finance Committee will be Supervisor Lewis and myself. Buildings and Grounds Committee will be Supervisor Hart and myself. Solid Waste Committee will be Supervisor Day and Supervisor Hart. Personnel Committee will be Supervisor Day and Supervisor Lewis. Public Safety Committee will be Supervisor Day and Supervisor Ayers. Economic Development Committee will be Supervisor Lewis and Supervisor Ayers. Community Development Committee will be Supervisor Ayers and Supervisor Hart. The Board Liaison to the Virginia Horse Center will be Supervisor Lewis. The Board Liaison to the Chamber of Commerce will be Supervisor Day. Board Liaison to the Rockbridge Regional Fair Board will be Supervisor Hart. And just a quick note, in the past, the Board of Supervisors and the School Board have had executive committees to meet as needed to typically discuss certain issues, and typically that's the chair and vice chair. However, for this year, that committee that meets with the school board will be Supervisor Ayers and myself. We've been doing it the last couple of years, and I value her opinion on that committee, and I'd like to keep it as is. Additionally, Supervisor Ayers continue to serve Regional Tourism Board as a board appointed member, and I will continue to sit in on the EDA meetings. I would like to say thank you to all the board members for their willingness to serve on these various committees and your time and efforts that's involved above and beyond our general meetings that the public sees. So, is there any questions about any of those or any concerns? All right. Hearing, let's see here. We got the Rockbridge Regional Jail Commission. Mr. Suter and Mr. Hoskin have been serving on the jail commission for one-year terms that are expiring on January 14th. Both are willing to be reappointed and to continue serving. Is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Suter and Mr. Hoskins to serve an additional one-year term? And a second?
Second.
All right. Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
And chair votes yes as well. Board comments. We have scheduled joint meeting with the Rockbridge County School Board on Thursday, January 15th at 5 o'clock. It is at Maury, let's see here. It's being moved to the school board office, correct?
Correct. It was at Maury River Middle School. We have posted notices as of today. We had a conflict with a major wrestling tournament. The library is still open, but parking is going to be so difficult there. Dr. Thompson asked if we could shift out to the school division offices in Effinger. And so we posted those notices.
All right.
And you've also got monthly staff reports.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
You just found that.
Yeah, monthly staff reports. So everybody had an opportunity to review those. Any questions, comments?
I had one comment, couple of questions. The Economic Development Report said that they had received no comments from supervisors. I guess technically I was not a supervisor when I handed it in, but I could have handed it in 3 days later. So I would like that reflected. Mr. Suter, as I talked to you, one of the things I would like to see in the staff reports, I know our staff is busy and I know they do a lot of things. Most of what was in those reports would be termed a measure of performance, is that the staff did what the staff was expected to do, and that is good. But I would also like to see us include measures of effectiveness. Now, while we don't give necessarily a return on investment, we do return things to the taxpayers. You know, an example of a measure of effectiveness in fire and EMS might be the number of volunteers that were recruited that month. Mr. Stanley does a good job in his report. He talked about 12 licensed pesticide applicators receive their continuing education requirements. So without his efforts, that wouldn't have happened, and they would have had a more difficult time. So I think measures of effectiveness are a good thing to add. And I think this would be appropriate in the community development area. We do special exception permits and we list conditions that we expect to have fulfilled. And I don't know what the feedback mechanism for that is, but I think the staff report is an existing mechanism that and it doesn't necessarily have to be everything, because if it's a small shed, it's probably not a big deal. But for any of these projects that are substantial projects with a substantial number of conditions, I think it would be good for the staff to report back to the board what the status of those conditions are. If they are met and where they are met. And that way we know that stuff's happening because we get questions on that.
Are you, can I interrupt for a second?
Yes, sir.
Ask a question. Are you talking about every SEP that we've got or just the most recent ones?
Well,
or
I would say ones that come in that are of substantial effort. I mean, I've been in here, SCP, a guy wants to put a 9x12 shed in his backyard. Okay, that probably doesn't have county level impact. But for instance, the golf course that we heard about earlier, there's a list of conditions there. And those are pretty substantial. And some of them are, these things need to happen before construction. These things happen during construction. And sort of during the preparation, the early execution phase, that's our report back that yes, the things we said we wanted to have happen are in fact happening. So I don't know exactly the mechanism to do that, but I do know it's an old leadership adage that the things that the boss checks or causes to be checked are done well. And I think it's kind of incumbent upon us, if we're going to say this is what we want to happen, that we at least make sure that does happen. And that may be the right mechanism for that. It may be something else.
Any other comments about the monthly staff reports? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I was just say, I'll move, we approve them.
All right.
With, appreciation.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right. Mr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Day.
Yes.
Ms. Ayers.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. Sorry, I skipped over that. I mentioned the joint meeting with the school board on Thursday at 5 o'clock. Any other additional comments by any board members?
Saturday is the rabies clinic at South River District Fire Department. I think it's 10 to 12. And then after lunch, they move to Ray Fane for normally dogs and cats.
I'm sorry, I was writing as you were speaking and I missed it. What is on Saturday?
The rabies clinic.
Rabies clinic.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the fee is $12 per animal.
I would like to ask a question, actually, about the country club and what we heard earlier. I would like to know what process we have to understand the allegations that some of the things were not done. I would like to, can we have a board report? Can we have a staff report that comes so that the public can hear about the different things that they had, that they spoke about? I mean, we can see the pictures. This is the first I had heard about that potentially the results from the wells had not come in. I have no knowledge. I mean, in this room, I'd like to know, I'd like to report about that. I don't know whether this is Chris's office as well.
That
How
that
can we do this?
particular, okay, that particular piece of it, that is, that's part of the SCP special, and they have been following up and looking for the information for the wells. The one thing I will state is that the private well testing, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but private well testing, we're not releasing, it's private wells. It was the golf course as well. Chris?
But what was stated was that those have not been reported to the individual, the well holders. And
Yep.
so I do think that information, it's important to find out whether the country club is making that available.
Yes.
Or the company. That I do think is our job to figure
Sure.
that out. And I'd like to know, are there any fines for this? My biggest concern tonight was that somebody thought that 1.5 inches was a rain event. 1.5 inches in Rockbridge County is not a rain event. It is a normal rain over, we should be very happy to have it. And so what happens when we get 4 inches in 4 hours? And so very disturbed and also uncomfortable because I didn't hear anything that said how we're going to move forward with this not happening again.
And the next thing I'll tell you, and I think I've shared this with most of you, that Jonathan Griffin is of course our ENS and stormwater administrator. He's been working closely with them, and there's multiple things that they are doing that they have been done, have done, and a lot of things that they still need to do. Clearly, to your point, for a major storm event. That Saturday was not a major storm event in this area. Jonathan couldn't be here tonight. He was going to be here tonight, and he could not. He had a pre-existing thing that he could not get out of. So we will be talking with him. Did meet on site with Jonathan and Mr. Orson. We were there basically first thing this morning, looking at that. Jonathan's been there on the weekends and over the holidays on these as well. And we will get you some answers on that. We did have one report from the last event. Mr. Griffin did do a report. We'll get more, and I sent you all the information from the country club from a little bit earlier today. I know that doesn't answer your question, but
No, but I thank you for that. We will do it. And I hope there will be a report for the community, the public next meeting.
Any other questions, comments?
I'll ask questions, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I talked to a lot of people in the fall over campaign, and I know we voted to spend money on an airport study. I did not talk to a single person in Carrs Creek that wanted an airport. I had people come up to me, I had no idea who they were. They'd shake my hand, they'd say no airport and walk away. It's the only thing they said to me. I know we voted to fund that study, but we look at the CIP, we look at all the things we've got to spend money on, we look at all the things we've already committed, we've already built. We got to make sure we take care of the stuff we've already done. And I don't know how the people in other districts feel, but I know how the ones in my district feel, and they would like us to stop doing that and see if we can get our money back. Now, I don't know if that's possible, but if you were to put this to the people in Carrs Creek, I do not believe that you would see any substantial support for an airport.
Are we talking about the $35,000 that the EDA is spending on that, or the money that the EDA? Is that what you were talking about, Steve?
Yes, ma'am.
The EDA's money going? Is that correct? My memory is that we did not vote for Rockbridge to come out of our budget. We voted to allow the EDA to go forward with that study. Is that, am I remembering that?
I'm not, I think I don't know, Spencer, do you with it?
We haven't spent any county funds on it.
Yes, that
I
was,
know that
yes.
the
No,
locality,
EDA.
county and the localities, put money for it, and the rest I believe was by grant. But
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Hart.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Ayers.
Yes.
Mr. Day.
Yes.
And Chair votes yes as well. Thank you.